Okay, I finally read The Blade itself by Joe Abercrombie. It's the first book of the First Law trilogy. This has been a very difficult book to get any info on. I checked countless reviews and no one really talks about what the book is actually about. All I heard was that it was all about the characters and there was no plot, which is sort of true, but it just wasn't helpful for me. So in this review, I'll try to give you some more details about what this book is actually about. Like, what are you going to read without getting into any spoilers? Giving spoilers is not really possible anyway because there aren't any twists or turns or anything like that. First of all, the title comes from Homer's Odyssey, but I can't find where this exact translation is from. The book quotes it as "the blade itself incites to deeds of violence." The translations I could find say, "For the view itself of arms incites to their abuse." Another one says, "For the steel blade itself lures men to blood." And another one is, "For iron by itself can draw a man to use it." So basically in this scene, Odysseus is telling Telemachus to hide the weapons because in case of a fight, just the existence of weapons might lead them to use it. Very insightful about weapons still today. But if you know which translation is the one Abercrombie uses, let me know in the comments because I like that one the best. Maybe he took some liberties himself. I'm not sure. Anyway, the book takes place in a medieval European-like setting. It's very similar to our world with a bit magic and a few monsters. But other than that, it's mostly realistic. Game of Thrones is a good similar book where there's sort of magic and monsters, but not at the center of things. You get more magic in the future books of A Song of Ice and Fire, so I'm not sure if this one is going to be the same. But in this first book, there is very little of those things. Northerns are, I think, the equivalent of Nordic tribes. They're preparing for war to attack the south, which is maybe like Germanic. And there's Angland in between, which is, I guess, inspired by what it sounds like. So the good guys are what I'll call the Germanic land, and they call it the Midderland. And it's this huge union. They own Angland, but the northern people have their own empire and they want Angland themselves. That's the main conflict that's going on, but the book focuses on several characters in this setting. The first character is Logan Ninefingers. He's the super formidable northern warrior. He's also known as the Bloody Nine. I will not get into that, but at some point I was thinking like, why do they even call this guy the Bloody Nine? And there's this one chapter and I went like, oh, that's why. And you cannot even guess what it is. And it was a super cool idea. I really liked it, but it's for you to discover. Anyway, he gets an invitation from a wizard called Bias, so he heads out to meet him. Bias is supposed to be this super powerful wizard. The second main plot of this book is Bias gathering a group of people for a secret mission. He is super jolly and nice, but he has a temper. And the ways you find out about his temper are a lot of fun. A lot of people who interact with Bias know that he has a limit. And at some point when he's getting pissed off, they know to just stand down. This book has incredible writing. You know how everyone talks about showing versus telling? There is no telling in this book. It's all show. No one ever says Bias has a temper, but you slowly get to see it as he interacts with people. He's very powerful and he doesn't have a lot of patience. Another main character is Captain Jazal. He is in the army of the Union. He's a dueler getting ready for this amazing fencing competition. He loves the thrill of fame. There's a bit of a romance side plot with him too. And that again is written fantastically. Then there's Pharaoh, who is being chased by the Gurkish. That's right, we didn't mention them, but they are south of Midderlands. She's sort of a loner fighter burning with vengeance against the Gurkish. And the last but not least is Glokta. Glokta is an inquisitor for the Union. He tortures people and he doesn't like it. But also here's the thing. He knows that torture is not to get information, because under torture, people will start making things up and tell you whatever you want to hear. He does it to get people to admit things he wants them to admit, or sign papers he wants them to sign. He was tortured for 2 years and lost his teeth and has major injuries on his leg, so he can't walk well. It's an amazing character. So much fun to read. So the book is all about intersecting the paths of these characters. Now, the weak point of this book is the plot. There really is no complete arcs in this book. The characters still change, but there are no complete story arcs. I was not curious about anything that was going to happen at any time while reading this book. I could have stopped at any time and it wouldn't have made a difference for me. Like, at least if there was some hints about the quest Bayaz was trying to go on, that would have helped. But Bayaz is not a viewpoint character, so it's always just a mysterious quest. Other characters don't have any apparent goals. Like, Jezal wants to win the tournament and works towards it, but the stakes are super low. It's not like fight to death or anything. Nothing happens if he loses. Logan is just following Bayaz. Pharaoh is following someone else. Glokta is taking orders from his superiors. Whenever I stopped reading, I didn't want to pick it back up because I wasn't curious about anything. But whenever I did pick it up, I couldn't stop. And that is because of the incredible dialogue and viewpoint writing in this book, and especially the use of humor. This book takes place in a very dark world. It's bleak and sad and harsh, but every character has sort of a sense of humor, and this makes them very much human. Fantasy books usually miss this. Another series that does it well is The Witcher. That series also takes place in an unfriendly world, and Geralt is a very serious character, but what makes Geralt relatable is his sense of humor. In a lot of fantasy novels, characters don't have a sense of humor. For example, in The Way of Kings, there are funny characters like Lopan and Drak, but the non-funny characters like Kaladin and Dalinar have no sense of humor at all. To me, it makes characters feel very stiff and uptight. And that to me is sort of the general convention in fantasy books. This book, though, does an incredible job. I had to look up if this author had a background in theater writing because I rarely see dialogue writing done this well in fantasy books. It doesn't look like he does, but he should totally write plays. Even Glokta, the torturer, has a sense of humor. And I'm not talking about people cracking jokes or anything like that. Also, a danger of jokes done badly in books is when they undercut a dramatic moment. I saw that a lot in The Gilded Wolves. In that book, everyone is sarcastic 100% of the time, so it feels like you never get a genuine moment with anyone. This book is not like that at all. It's all balanced so well. And it's not just in dialogue. Every viewpoint is written in such a distinct way. Like when you are in Glokta's viewpoint, the way he perceives stairs is so much fun to read because he has a disability. And for any other character, stairs would have been insignificant to notice, but not for Glokta. All viewpoints are very strongly written in character voices. It's just written so well. I hope this makes it a bit more clear what people mean when they say there's great character writing in this book. Now, should you read this book? It's so hard to say. If you're a writer, the answer is yes. You definitely should. There's really great craft to learn from here. But it's really difficult to follow without a continuous plot line. There aren't any strong mysteries or anything. It's tough. There really were moments when I was like, okay, I'm kind of bored now. But then there would be some great character interaction and I'd be on board again. I also really enjoyed the romance. It's a small part of the book, but I thought it was so well done. It was so much fun. Again, being able to put so much fun in a very dark world is a remarkable skill. So I gave it 4 stars. I am probably going to read the second book, but when? I don't know because I don't really have any expectations on what's going to happen next. And unfortunately, we can't have perfect books. There will always be something missing. So if you're a character-focused reader, you should read this. But if you're a plot-focused reader, you'll probably lose interest very quickly. All right, I hope this was helpful. If it was, please leave a like to let me know. And if you don't want to miss my other reviews, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.
Goose breeze. Goose breeze. Goose, 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 goose breeze. Goose, 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 goose breeze. Goose breeze.